This is the Brandon Smith Show, and I am your host, Brandon Smith. And of course, the entire purpose of the show is one singular thing, and that's to help you live a life that much more free from dysfunction. So this is one of our leadership therapy segments, and so we are going to take on the micro topic, but really important topic of how to say no. N-O, Whitney. No. Just like that. So to help me along this journey is my fantastic, amazing producer, Whitney Mendoza. You blinked when I said that, like you didn't believe
see.
I meant I was gonna say that. She didn't think, folks, I was gonna come right out of the gate with compliments. I told you, 2018.
Really?
Year
because
compliments.
all I got out of it were like 10 seconds into the podcast, and you look at me and just go, no.
No. Just like that. Just practice it.
Yeah.
No.
But you looked at me when you did it.
I did. Because I just needed to look at another person. It wasn't really directed towards you.
I
Maybe
don't
it was
know
a
that
little,
I
folks.
believe that.
So let's talk about this topic of no. It's been a while since we've been on a show together.
It has. I was beginning to think it was something personal.
But I've talked about you on shows.
I know you have. Yes, I'm very well aware
I have been.
of that.
I know. Uh-huh. She's edgy. This is why it's good to practice no when someone's edgy.
Okay.
It's setting boundaries. So if we talk about what no is, what we're talking about saying no, what we're really talking about is setting healthy boundaries.
Yes.
And so if we don't say no, well, what's it like? I know as you and Isaac have been growing your business,
Yes.
you've had a lot of requests. And so tell me a little about what it's been like for you, either in this season or before, when you haven't said no and maybe you've taken on too many things. Has that been a challenge? What does it feel like?
It is a challenge. But I would say part of what we're going to tackle today has to be the way that you think of it. Because there's a part of saying no that maybe I say no for me to do it, but yes, that I delegate it. So we can potentially still take on that project, and maybe I play like overseer or helper role, but I'm not actively in it. But I have trusted team members that I can delegate it to, and I know that they're going to take the project and run with it.
Yeah, you're hinting on a really important point on how to say no properly. And we're going to get to that soon because I think it's one of the things that I have a particular pet peeve about when people write on how to say no. And they'll write in nice places, Harvard Business Review, all these articles on how you properly say no. I was at a client site last week, and their healthcare provider, I won't name the name because the document was so incredibly horrible, tried to offer them work-life balance tips. And one of them was how you properly say no. And the things they spelled out were not hitting the checklist. They were not doing it the right way. And so I actually held it up in the session. I was like, this is not good. Ignore this because it's just not, there's a right way and there's a wrong way to do this.
Well, and a lot of people, I feel like something that I hear a lot is people even question, is work-life balance even possible?
Yeah,
today?
Absolutely. Is work-life balance even possible? And if you can't say no, there's no hope of you getting there.
Yeah.
So this is a fundamental, the ability to say no is really what we're talking about. And I mentioned it before already, is healthy boundaries. And it's really the crux of having a life you're in control of versus your life being in control of you. It is the central pivot point. If you can't do this, you are going to have A, poor boundaries, B, it will result in poor health, and C, eventually everything's going to come crumbling down. So, I mean, I can't emphasize it enough that this is such a fundamental thing. You keep looking at my bobbleheads. Why do you keep messing with why do you keep looking at my bobbleheads?
There's an extra one and there's extra movie over here. Like it's jingle jangling.
They're agreeing with me. There's 3 now.
That's the part I was trying to figure out.
There's Dwight Schrute from The Office. There is Superman, new edition, folks, if you haven't seen it. And then the Brandon Smith bobblehead. And they're all in agreement with what I'm saying. I can't help it.
I'm not in agreement. Continue.
So this is a really central thing. You have to be able to say no. All right. That being said,
okay,
I'm about to contradict what I just said.
All right.
Are you ready?
Ready.
When you take on a new role or responsibility, or you go to a new company, for about the first year, you should say yes to everything.
I would agree with that. I concur with the bobbleheads. Yeah, I think you
So
go
you
through.
said yes to my yes.
Yes. You have to, really have to prove yourself, right? Like
Yeah, totally.
And we've talked about before, it's the credibility, it's the trust. And you can't build that if you come out the gate going, no, can't do that.
Yeah, you form your brand really quickly in that first year. And your brain's either going to be like, oh my gosh, she's so flexible. He's so hardworking. They say, yes, they're a solution to problems. And you quickly can get on people's radar and get kind of seen as a high potential. If you come out of the gate saying no to stuff, then you're seen as rigid, only focused on just your job. And they immediately kind of paint you in a kind of a corner where they say, well, really, she does that, but she's not necessarily a good team player. And we don't really see much potential for her or him. So saying yes in the first year is really, really important. I had a class I taught for many years on how you get recognized as a high potential. Your first year after graduation, it was a kind of a mini condensed course, and it was always full every year. Students would sign up. It was at Emory at the in their MBA program, and students would sign up because it was really designed to help get them on the radar. And I'd have panelists come in, and the panelists would often talk about that. They would say in the very beginning, you got to say yes to everything. Yes, 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 which can be challenging if you're starting a new job and you have other commitments outside of that. This is where it gets tricky. It's easy if you're single and you don't have a family. It's harder if you've got other life demands, because really to get on the radar, you got to say yes to everything. But then the panelists did say, you have to then be able to quickly turn that properly into a no.
Right.
Start setting those boundaries. In fact, I have a client right now. She's an executive level for a well-known company, and I'm working with her. And in one of my 360 interviews I did for her yesterday, the person who is her boss's boss said, oh yeah, she's great. She's fantastic. And she's been such a can-do attitude. And she really has adjusted well to this company culture. But however, I'm concerned because she's saying yes to everything. And eventually that's going to take her focus off her priorities. So it's time for her to start to do that. And for her, that was at about the 6-month, 8-month mark.
Okay.
So it's a little bit more condensed, probably because of her level.
Right.
But a good rule of thumb, first year, just say yes to everything. And then at that point, you can start to pull off and say no.
That's a very good tip, Brandon.
Oh, you're agreeing with me.
Yes.
I did not expect that agreement.
Well, enjoy it while it lasts.
All right. So I have some categories of situations where we get asked to do stuff that we need to be able to say no to.
Okay.
And we're going to role play.
Awesome.
I'm excited about this. I don't know.
I'm good at this.
Yeah, she might be. We'll see. We're about to find out. I hope you brought your A game today.
I am on it.
Did you get enough sleep last night?
A game. Not as much. If Arthur were here, she would probably be upset with me. I only got like 6.5. Sorry.
7 is what you need.
Yeah, I know. I'm working on it. Hey, say no. Just say no.
Got to work on the sleep.
Working on it.
All right.
That was also my specific goal from our goal show. I got to get back to it, Brandon.
You're not doing it? The whole getting up
Not
early?
Consistently. That's key.
What'd you say, 5:30?
Yeah.
That's what
You know what my downfall is?
I love the way she answered.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
My goal.
Not like, yes, it's 5:30. I've been doing it. It was like, yeah.
Well, hey, I'm all about reassessing goals. I think my first goal, I know my first goal should probably be, I just said probably again, 9 p.m. I need to go to bed. I am confident I need to go to bed at 9 p.m.
That's not a goal.
Isaac's laughing
That's
at
not
me.
a goal.
Going to bed at 9 p.m.
No,
it is so that I can get up at
I'm
5.
confident I need to go to bed at 9 p.m. That is a statement. That's not a goal. That's like a belief
That's
philosophy.
another goal of mine, more intentional this year.
I'm confident that I should win the lottery. That's not a goal. That's just a hope.
Say no to vague statements.
Yes. It's a crappy goal.
Okay. So back to saying no to the boss. I got some work to do.
You do. Turn that, okay, but we're not doing no yet until you turn that into a goal statement. 9 p.m. How would
My
you turn
goal is to go to bed at 9 p.m. every night.
Okay, that's not. And for those of you who can't see it, she has a Dwight Schrute
that's true.
coffee mug that has a kind of a picture of Dwight's face, and it says false because that's what he would say on The Office. So she just held that up when she set her goal. Okay, we're starting when? When are you starting your goal?
Tomorrow night, Monday night.
All right, so you're going to start it tomorrow night, Monday night.
It's a little late right now.
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay. Monday night's on.
Okay. All right, I'm somewhat satisfied with that. Okay, 3 categories for saying no. Our first one. Number 3. It's our first one.
Okay.
The boss.
Yes.
The boss has come and asked you to do something, and you don't have the time or the resources to get this thing done.
Yeah.
And they want it done. Okay. So you got to respond to that. Okay. So I am going to play the boss, the role of the boss. This is super fun. Oh my God. I don't get to play this role enough. I'm the boss.
You're the boss. You don't get to play this role. Are
Enough.
you kidding me?
This is great. Enough. I said enough. Enough. And you are going to be my employee, and I'm going to come to you and ask you to do something.
Okay.
All right. And you have to say no
All right.
in a way that I'm comfortable with.
Okay.
I'm trying to think how I want to go to do this. Okay, Whitney, I have this task I need you to get done. And since this is a world that you would know, we'll talk about podcasts. I have 5 new podcasting clients that I know we can serve, and I want you to get on it. And I think we can launch all their podcasts next week. So I want all of them done next week. Isaac just groaned in the background, by the way. So we got 5 of these. We're launching them all next week. They're going to be weekly podcasts, and they want to go ahead and get on the calendar and get all set up.
So you want to launch them all?
All of them next week. Yes.
Okay.
That's what I've told them that we're going to do.
Okay. So I would encourage you to rethink that plan.
I don't understand, but I've already committed to them.
So to be most effective, the best way to handle this is we need to spread them out.
What does that mean?
That will benefit. So these are for your guests. That's going to benefit the guests more.
Okay, but no, this is so we're going to spread them out.
Yes. 1 a week is optimal.
But I told them all next week. Can you get next week done?
We will not be able to do that.
Why not? Aren't I important?
Yes, but we are currently working on the podcast that needs to air this week. And that's a little bit too quick of a change for us to go from 1 a week to 5 a week. So I'm happy to work with you on this, but we need to sit down and think about a better plan for more efficiency for our team and to best utilize these podcasts for your guests. Because really, we need to make the guests happy.
Okay, folks. Before I fire Whitney, we're going to go to break.
I thought I did
and
so well.
And then we're going to come right back and we're going to talk more about this. So stay tuned. We're talking about how to say no. Hey there, this is Brandon Smith. I'm excited to be presenting at this year's SHRM Atlanta Conference on March 26th, 27th, and 28th. If you are an HR professional, you won't want to miss it. To say a little more about this event, here's Barbara Bell-Dees, a volunteer leader with SHRM Atlanta.
Hi, I'm Barbara Bell-Dees, the Vice President of HR and People Services for NASCO, and I'm also a volunteer leader with SHRM Atlanta. I serve as the EVP of Member Relations. Our 2018 conference theme is Be the Catalyst. We chose this theme because if you're like many in the HR profession, you are an instrumental catalyst for introducing, managing, and driving change. Invest in yourself and join us at SOAR on March 26th, 27th, and 28th at the Cobb Galleria. Our conference team has identified an outstanding lineup of facilitators who will challenge and inspire those of you who are new to your career, emerging as leaders, or accomplished tenured practitioners.
To learn more about the conference, go to www.soar.net. That's www.soahr.net. I hope to see you there. Welcome back to the Brandon Smith Show. I'm, of course, your host, Brandon Smith, and today we are talking about how to say no. And so right before break, Whitney was attempting to tell me I was playing the role of the boss, and I asked that we were going to add on 5 more clients podcasts next week, and she was attempting to tell me no. And I wasn't fully satisfied with that answer, Whitney.
How did I feel like this was going to be poo-pooed? I felt like you were going to poo-poo my telling you no. All right, so what did I do wrong?
So she's looking as though she didn't do anything wrong.
I felt like I handled that pretty well. You're pretty intimidating.
I'm not that intimidating. I'm intimidating? When I was being all bossy boss, I was intimidating. Now she's drinking out of her false cup again. So I'm not quite sure what that's trying to tell me something. Okay, so the best way to say no.
Okay.
When it's the boss.
Yes.
And you actually kind of did this.
Oh, okay.
So while I'm playing around, you actually kind of did this.
Okay.
When it's the boss and they ask you to do something that you can't do, so you always want to go in, you hinted at this earlier, you always want to go into kind of a solution mindset. So one of the things that irritates me about all the articles written on how to say no is they say stuff like this. And I mean stuff the way I said stuff, not in a very nice way. They say, oh, be very calm, be composed, stick to your guns, you say it and don't back off it. And then they end. That's it. You're supposed to say, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that. No. And what you didn't do this, by the way, but what happens when you do that is you just say no, you're inadvertently setting up a negotiation. Because what you're saying to the person is, if you can, because you explain your real rationale for no. They also recommend that, which is a horrible idea. Because when what happens is you're setting up a negotiation. So in other words, if I can overcome your rationale, I win, you lose, you have to do it.
Okay.
So don't do that, because if the person is particularly aggressive or combative or intimidating, then they will do a little bit of what I did. Like, I don't understand. I don't, they will keep messing with you until they get the answer they want. So you quickly say no, maybe explain your rationale, and then go to alternate solutions. Okay. Which you kind of hinted at doing in that. So you quickly kind of do that. Now, if it's the boss, another subtlety in this that helps is do it by giving them options and explaining the constraints.
Okay.
So I would say a better option to do that if it's the boss is say, I think we can make that happen, but there are going to be some trade-offs. So for us to make that happen, it means I'm going to need to tell these other people that they can't come on, and I'll have to cancel them. Are you comfortable with me doing that? And often, in many cases, when I work with clients and they tell the boss this, then you're going to have to go talk to your boss or talk to another VP.
Yeah, they don't want to.
They don't want to do that. They're like, okay, I don't want to deal with that. Mm-hmm. And then they walk away. So that's one. Or the other option is you say, we can definitely get that done. What I'll need is more resources. So we need to open up another studio. Because that would be an option, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, if you came to me and said, yeah, absolutely, we'll do that. We just need to double the staff and double the studio. So you can offer that as an option.
I like it.
And the third option is if both of those costs are too high, then I recommend maybe we just go with one more next week, and then we roll out one every week. So it's really up to you what path you want to take. So you're offering up options and solutions.
I like it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you're forcing them to choose off of a menu.
I get it.
We've talked about odd authors and editors before. It's become more and more clear to me, even in recent weeks and months, the more senior the person is, the more they don't author. You go to the most senior people in organizations, they don't author anything. They don't author anything. And if you ask them to, they're just going to kind of just get stuck, like stunned. They always want to edit. They want to choose off a menu. And the more senior, the more you have to offer them a menu to choose from. And that's what they want to do. So that is a way to say no, is by essentially forcing choices. What I see too many people do is just say yes. They just cave, say yes, and then they're dealing with crazy anxiety all the
Yeah.
time, trying to make it happen.
Yeah. That was good.
Okay.
Good exercise.
Okay.
I'm nervous for the next one now, but that was great.
So the next one, I think I still want to. I think I like the role of the antagonizer a little
I
bit.
knew it.
This is really a lot of fun. I didn't think it would be as much fun.
Yes,
So,
you did.
so this is similar because we kind of played this off, but this is going to be client. So we had boss. Okay, so boss. This is boss. Now you might be in a world where either you, in your case, you have a lot of clients, or you're working inside a company. You got a boss and you got clients. Okay, but you got customers or clients, and they're asking for something. Okay, all right, you ready?
Yes.
So I'm
ready.
I'm the client.
What if I said no, I'm not?
That would be ironic. I don't know what I would do with that. Okay, so yeah, since I am a client, so I'm going to say this. I'm going to say, okay,
Oh, gosh.
hey,
Yeah.
Whitney, I love all the work that you do and everything you do for me and Isaac. It's just phenomenal. I mean, it really is. It's gold star. And
Thank you.
And it's just amazing, and I just love it. And so, what I would like you to do, well, here's what I'm asking you to do. So,
Okay.
since you're already doing all this other stuff for me, I was thinking about creating a whole bunch of graphic designs for new logos. I'm rolling
Okay.
out a new project,
Yep.
and I want graphic design work around. I want you to build me the logos. I want you to build out the websites. I want you to go ahead and create videos for everything, and I want you to also be kind of run it every week
Okay.
and be kind of the administrator for all those things.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. What else? What else can I ask
What
you to do and
else,
all
he
that?
says.
I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Business cards too. Make me some business cards. A
Okay.
whole bunch of business cards. So, and I'll pay you great for this.
Of course.
Whatever you want.
Yes.
What do you think?
When would you like all this by?
Well, next week. I mean, we're going to start this thing next week.
Next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm excited. I'm ready to go. Price isn't even a concern.
Okay. So if we do it next week, I would have to create those for you, and they're not going to be as pretty.
But everything you do is pretty.
So,
I trust you.
and I appreciate your trust.
Oh, did you like that, folks? You like how I threw that out there? Ooh, little singer, I trust you. I'm so proud of myself. Oh, sorry. Please go on.
We
Keep
would
going.
be happy to do this for you, but I'm going to have to bring on a graphics designer.
Okay.
So we can do this for you. Not right now, not immediately. I need some more time to bring on a new team member.
How much more time?
3 weeks.
Oh, that hurts my heart. I don't know. I think
I want to do it good for you, though.
I think I want to get it up sooner than that. I think I might have to go somewhere else.
I don't like this anymore.
Okay, so let's come out of our. I'm going to take you off the hot seat.
Oh, God.
So what was difficult about that?
I personally don't like saying no.
Who does?
Yeah. I wouldn't want you to go anywhere
And
else.
most people that grow a business and
Yeah.
are really good at it are really good at saying yes and figuring out a way to make it work.
Yeah.
But
Agreed.
what it ultimately happens, if we use geeky business terminology, is you end up with scope creep.
Scope creep.
Scope creep. You ever heard that term
Do
before?
tell. No.
Okay, so this is often in kind of the project management world, but also consulting world. They'll talk about you scope a project. In other words, you put the box around the project.
Okay.
So you say, this is within scope. These are all the things we're going to do for you for this price. Everything else is outside of scope.
Okay.
And what you're trying to do there is you're trying to make it very clear for the client, this is what we're going to give you for this price. Because what happens over time with clients is the longer the project, the more they're like, oh, hey, can you do this thing for me?
Right.
Hey, can you throw this thing in? And pretty soon you have what's called scope creep, where you're doing a lot more stuff than what you originally planned on doing and maybe not charging for it. Or then if you do charge for it, then they say, well, we didn't talk about that. So it's all about keeping it within scope. And so this is really a challenge because this is scope creep. This is me coming to you, loving what you're doing, so wanting you to do other stuff that might not be your core business. Like I made up stuff like business cards, right? Logo design. That's not typically kind of the core of what you do. Not to say you can't do that, but I'm
Yeah.
I'm moving outside of scope
Right.
and managing clients, keeping them happy, but also not overcommitting into something that you're not good at is tricky when you got clients. So have you ever had that case? Have you ever had that happen? You don't have to name names, but you have ever had clients ask you to do something that you're not, maybe isn't core to what you do?
Yes.
And so in that moment, I heard Isaac go, mm-hmm. So in that moment, you ask yourself a couple of questions, right? You say, do we want to keep them happy? And is this a potential service offering we want to develop?
Yeah.
So we might want to develop this, and we can kind of develop it, and get paid while we're doing it,
Right.
and then end up with another service offering. But with whether it's your business or you're working with others, you also don't want, if you say you violate the number one rule of strategy, the one rule of strategy is you can't be all things to all people.
That's good.
Number one rule. So if you say yes, you're violating strategic principles. You're saying yes, and then which means you're nothing to nobody. So while there's value in adding other, saying yes and adding other extensions, if you do too much of that, you're diluting what you're good at.
Right.
You're not known as, well, we're really good at this thing. You're kind of like, well, they're good at, you're all things to all people.
Yeah.
So hearing me say all that, would you have managed me any differently as the unruly client that trusts you greatly with everything?
Yes.
What would you have done?
So typically what we do when we enter that sort of situation is we go at it and we look at it as a thing of, like you said, is that something that we really want to get into? So for example, like when you asked about business cards, that there's a section of that would fall into what you're already asking us to do, which is the graphic design, right? But we would probably outsource the actual printing of the business card. So part of that would just be figuring out what avenues to take. So we would still be able to do that. It's just figuring out how to get it done.
Yep.
But it would take more time than just a week.
Yeah. So maybe one way to do it is, well, hey, let's talk about your priorities and let's talk about how we can get you there. And then, as you said earlier, and you could even say, this is not a core expertise for us, but we have a great graphic designer.
Right.
And we could do this. Or the other option is you say, here's our core thing, and we're really good at this with you. We want to keep doing this. And so everything that fits within that, we'll keep doing. But this thing over here that you're asking us for isn't really core.
Right.
But we're happy to find you another solution.
And yeah, and oftentimes if it is something that's outside that we're not necessarily interested in getting into, be it, what we foresee in the future, if we don't think that that's a viable thing to add, then we don't and we won't. But we have what I would consider partners that we would recommend you to. So, business cards, if you had an all-in house and they did the graphic for you and they printed and that's really what you wanted, we would know someone that we trust that we could recommend.
Yep.
So that's something that we'll do a lot of the time too.
So it's great. It's a great general tip. Know and then provide another solution.
Yes.
So I'm going to add kind of one more piece to this, and then I'm going to summarize our third point because we're running short on time. To be even more prescriptive around this, when you tell someone no, it's 20% no, and then 80% find a solution to the problem. That's the breakdown of that conversation versus all the crappy articles you read, which is under 100% just all your rationale for telling no. Be known as the solution provider. Just like Pavlov's dog, Pavlov's dog is behavioral psychology, got the dog associating food with the bell. You want people to associate you with a problem solver. But it doesn't mean you have to be the one to solve the problem. So like to your point, you could say, well, here's all the stuff I want to do for you. There's some stuff we're not going to do, but I got some great resources. Let's talk about that, and I'll match you to those resources. Okay. All right, so the last one, and I'm just going to summarize it because we're running short on time. So I mentioned saying no to the boss, we get asked to do stuff. Saying no to clients, we get asked to do stuff. And then the third one that we all get asked to do stuff is volunteer activity. Hey, can you come do this event for free? I get hey, can you come speak to this event for free? Hey, can you come kind of do this thing for free? And there are times when I say, yeah, sure, I'm happy to do that because I want to do that. But if I said yes to every single request for volunteer activities, I'd be spending all my time for free, and then I wouldn't be able to pay the bills.
Right.
And, there's only so much of that you can handle before it starts to bleed into work-life balance and all those other things. So knowing how to say no to volunteer stuff. So usually it's the same format. I typically say no. I first thank them for asking me. I kind of honor that. I say, thank you so much. I feel honored that you would ask me to do that. I'm so sorry. This particular kind of window of time, often I've been saying like this year, I've been doing this a lot. I've been saying, I'm sorry for 2018. I can't. And I've been often explaining that I'm using that free time that I spent last year doing volunteer activities to now working on my book. So I explain that, which everyone understands. And then I offer up, do you want me to pair you with another resource or someone else who might be interested in doing this? So that's kind of a way to do it. But you don't have to spend a lot of time on the rationale for the no. You can just say, I'm sorry, I'm unavailable, but I'm happy to find you another option. And I sometimes do leave those openings available down the road. I might say, hey, but reach out to me next year. I've been doing that a lot this year. Reach out to me next year. Things might be different.
Yeah.
And then I'm happy to do it. And then it's an opportunity to talk about the book and talk about the wonderful podcast and how I've got this awesome producer, Whitney, who comes on with me.
And redeemed.
Every once in a while. So yeah, I think, so those are our 3 big categories: boss, client, and then volunteer stuff. So we are way out of time. So thank you all for listening. I sure hope this was helpful for you all. This was a lot of fun for me. So stay tuned. Of course, every week we take on the fight against dysfunction. Every Sunday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, we drop a new show on Facebook Live. And if you want to go to Facebook Live for that, facebook.com/Brandon Smith WPT for Workplace Therapist. And of course, you can follow us on Twitter at the WP Therapist. Connect with me on LinkedIn. If you don't listen to this show on iTunes, why not? You should. So go on iTunes and look for the Brandon Smith Show. And of course, you can just Google the Workplace Therapist and you'll find me hanging out. I'm the only one. So until next time our paths cross and next week, have a great week and an awesome life.